Welcome to my little space, where heart and hook stitch up a place, where we can together make a refuge, safe for all our sake. So I showed you making all of these, except for the flying spaghetti monsters, in my last video. The flying spaghetti monsters were batch made some months ago. I had to make 3 more of these little hearts to have enough for each package. And here what I'm doing is, these are my long yarn scraps. I always do that. I combine words. These are my longer yarn scraps that I don't cut up to make into new yarn, and I just, as you can see, I kind of put them in a line here, and I keep them rolled up with my shipping stuff so that I can use them to tie up packages. I only have a few more of these flying spaghetti monsters already completely finished, but I do have a batch of like 8 or 9 of them that need their final stitching. And then I also have a whole bunch of noodles just already made, so I'll get to batch making that before the end of this year, that's for sure, because usually I sell a bunch of those by the end of the year. Today, meaning voiceover day, not video day, I posted this review that I got for one of my flying spaghetti monster ornaments, and I got a pretty great comment from Lancaster Hermit Crafter. It's my new favorite comment here. They say, "A fellow Pastafarian crocheter, yay! So good to see your works. May your yarn never misbehave. May your hook always glide effortlessly like spaghetti with ample amounts of olive oil and sauce. And may our Lord and Savior, the Flying Spaghetti Monster, always bless you with an extra meatball in your plate. Ramen! Your voice is very uplifting, by the way. Cheers me up. Thank you for that." So I responded, "Oh my goodness, from your lips to FSM's ears, thank you." So yeah, it's comments like that that totally make me smile and make me feel like, okay, I'm not doing this for nothing. I'm glad you're enjoying, and thanks for watching. Here's where I really try to make each customer feel special by writing their name in some pretty lettering on their package. And then they get to open it and they find a rainbow heart. So, you know, I'm trying to get those good reviews, I guess. Okay, so on this day that I was doing the packaging and the shipping, I also was getting packed up to leave my house to go on a big long trip down to San Diego. So I am in California, but California is a really, really long state. So traveling from the Central Valley down to San Diego is like a 5.5 hour drive. And before I left, I had a Nana ready to go, ready for me to photograph and post all about on Wednesday, because we left on Tuesday. However, I totally forgot to photograph it, so I ended up not being able to post my Nana this week. So I ended up having to wait and post it after we got back from our trip. And so that was today, actually, because today's Monday now that I'm editing this video. So here you can see I snagged some clips of the what the terrain looks like. This is traveling through the Santa Clarita Hills. There's Magic Mountain. Now we've entered LA. There's the iconic Capitol Records building. There's, see briefly, the Hollywood Tower, which is an apartment complex. And coming up here, you only see very briefly, it looks like a castle. It's the Scientology Celebrity Center right there. You see the little spires, if that's what those are called. I always notice this cube when traveling south. I don't know what it is. I always know I'm getting closer to San Diego when we pass the boobs. If you didn't know, that's San Onofre nuclear power plant. So we made it all the way to San Diego, where my grandma lives, with only one stop. I found the biggest cup that she had. It's technically for soup, for my coffee. And I went ahead and got started on another Nana. So we went to Balboa Park, our first full day in San Diego. This is the Organ Pavilion. It's absolutely gorgeous, but these little faces are kind of creepy, as my daughter pointed out. They do free concerts here all the time, and the architecture is just glorious. Well, look at that. The kids were in awe. After checking that out, we spent most of our time at the Model Train Museum. I thought these little signs were just too cute. But this place is expansive. There's a guy unloading a dinosaur, so it's perfectly accurate, of course. I totally recommend this museum. Even if you're not into model trains or miniatures, it's quite something to witness. There's quite a bit to see. You can walk along these expansive exhibits. Most of them are behind glass. There's fun little scenes like this car that's overheated, and there's a guy running up with a bucket of water. And check out the scale on this thing. It doesn't seem like there's any people there, but then you zoom in and you see some Boy Scouts. There's actually like a little tent up there. And look at this. Look at this little creek. This guy fell out of the truck. This guy's tripping over a rock. Okay, and this restaurant that just says eat on the side, on the chimney, it totally made me think of the song The Martian Boogie by Brownsville Station that my partner shared with me way back when we first started chatting. There's a drive-in theater. It's so cute. This poor guy flipped his truck, and he had chickens in cages that smashed all over the ground. And so the chickens are running around. This woman is running after something. What is it? Oh, it's a fox with a chicken in its mouth. This is a model of the Carrizo Gorge trestle. This is a pretty large and impressive model. And if you zoom in, look, you can see little teeny tiny people that just made it up the side of the cliff here. And there's all these guys still coming up. Mountain climbing. This was my favorite, the wagon that outweighs the donkey or mule or whatever that is. Here's a model of a salt factory, the South Bay Salt Works. Looks like California. So these are all models of real places, you guys. Look how pretty this is. And coming up is the Tehachapi Loop. This was made to ease the grade over the Tehachapi Pass, and it was a engineering marvel at the time. And now onto this room that's just full of toys, basically. This is all just for fun. This isn't trying to look like any real place, obviously. And look, it's a model train within a model train. Push the button to operate the train. It is okay for adults to push the buttons. And right there is the information on how you could watch the live feed from this room at home. We took a gander walking through the botanical building. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Look at this weird plant. And then just walking outside, we came across this artist who had a bunch of paintings out. And he had this sign that says, "I will paint you as a cat, $10. There were a bunch of other funny little written notes that he had plastered around. I'll let you pause it if you want to read. But basically he says, "No, your portrait will not look like you, but I will capture your vibe." And so all 4 of the kids ended up getting one. And I'm not showing you the kids, but my oh my, did he capture each of their vibes. This is Don Vito. He signed each one, Don Vito, and he labeled each one as cat. I asked him if I could take his picture for the purposes of including him in this video, and he said sure. He said he doesn't do social media though, but he does actually have an Instagram set up, and it's right there on his easel that he's holding up for me to take this picture. It says at G Don Vito. So you can hop over and follow. However, he has 0 posts as of this date, but he said he's going to start posting there soon. However, with even no posts at all, he's got over 4,000 followers. So I'm thinking he's reached a lot of people doing what he does here at Balboa Park, and I think it's pretty cool. And then we were literally just walking around, completely unsuspecting. And I said, "That's a Nana." And we hustled right on over, and sure enough, look at that. It's a genuine Niki de Saint Phalle Nana. And she's the artist that made Nanas at first. They were a big part of her later artworks. And this is the poet and his muse. She made this in 1998. And she's the reason I'm making Nanas now. Sprang from her idea, her concept. There's me standing next to it. As you can see, it's huge. There's like a male figure, I guess, holding her up. It looks like his hands are actually attached to her legs. And instead of arms, she has wings. And right on the other side of the building is this sculpture, which is another work by her. And she called it Niki Gator. My partner treated us to his favorite Italian restaurant in Little Italy called Filippi's. It's really cute. It's got lots of little Chianti bottles hung from the ceiling. And it was really quite simple to get a low-carb option with meatballs and salad. In true Aileen fashion, when we got to the beach, I plopped down in my beach chair and crocheted while everyone else played in the water and sand. We stayed until sunset. And then after the sun set all the way, we went and took all of our stuff back to the car and then went back out to the beach in the dark. There's an airplane. The reason we went back out to the beach in the dark was because tonight was one of the nights that there could be a grunion run. If you don't know what a grunion is, it's a fish, and they come up onto the shore to mate. So when there's a good grunion run, there are thousands and thousands of fish on the sand, and some people just scoop them up to take and eat. We were just there to see what we could see, and we couldn't see anything. Back at my grandma's house, look, there's Nana Bob, named after my grandpa. And on the next shelf down is Nana Carol, my grandma, named after my grandma. And this is the gorgeous box that my uncle made as an urn for my grandpa's ashes. I asked my uncle if I could share this story because I thought it was just so perfect that he used woodworking to make this urn, because my grandpa was a carpenter and he raised carpenters. And the story of my uncle going to where he bought the nice fancy little pieces of wood, the guy asked him what he was going to use it for, and he told him, I'm going to make the box that will be the urn for my dad. And the guy at the shop said, it's yours for free. So all those progress photos of it being made were from my uncle's Facebook that I snagged, with his permission, of course. The last time I was down at this house and saw my grandpa, I remember him talking about the statue that I had given him as a kid. I found it at a yard sale, and even though it had a missing wing, I wanted to give it to him, and he loved it. My mom likes to support my shop whenever she can. And for one of my grandma's birthdays, she checked out what I had available, and she liked this shawl that I made. And as you can see, my grandma keeps it on her chair in her living room. But I thought I'd show you the video I took back like 6 years ago when I first made it. You could see I was wearing it originally in the video with a shrug that I made out of the same yarn. And as you can see, I like to wear it multiple ways. So I like to show that off in the videos. You can wear it as kind of like a big, what do you call it? A cowl, or like a scarf with the longest part hanging in front. I love that look. Or you can wear it as a shawl. Or here I am tying it around my waist as like a little layered skirt. I just love this design. It's a pineapple stitch. But one of the main features at my grandma's house is the hummingbirds. She gets so many, like crazy, down here in San Diego. And so much so that she has, I think at the moment, she has 3 feeders going on, and she's got another on the other side of the porch. And actually, at some point, she had a third going on this side too, so that would be 4 feeders. And she has to make more sugar water to refill them about every other day. That's how fast they drink them down. So I thought a slow motion video would be in order as well. And I love how it drops the sounds of their chirps so that they sound like bigger creatures than they are. At some point in these videos, I think you hear a horse in the background, and that's because my grandma lives on a horse ranch. She owns a horse ranch for boarding horses. So this place has always been a magical place for me to come to as a child and as an adult. And I thought I would share some of this magic with you. And near to where my grandma lives is a creation museum, which I've never seen before, and my partner had the idea that we could go and check it out, take our 4 children, and see what this is all about, have a laugh respectfully when we were off the premises. As you can see here, they're really trying to prove that dinosaurs came into existence along with all the other animals on the same day. Here's a model of Noah's Ark with some little like buses and whatnot for scale. Some cool visuals of what it could have looked like, and a demonstration of how small, see, the dinosaurs could have fit on the boat because most dinosaurs were small. That's a baby triceratops. Here they want to drill home the point that dinosaurs lived together with people because we have stories that people write about dragons. And of course, what they mean by dragons are the dinosaurs that existed along with them. They have this nifty optical illusion where you look in and you see an image of man and a chimpanzee, I guess. And if you reach in, you can't touch them. It seems like you should be able to touch them, but you can't. So evolution doesn't exist. They have to come up with their own reasoning on how we have different ethnic characteristics, different races of people, because evolution doesn't exist. And this guy, Pascal, he's somebody that religious people very quickly turn to his wager when speaking with people like me, and they say, well, you should hedge your bets and just believe that he's real on the off chance that he is real. But that's so easy to debunk. Like, so you think your God can't tell the difference between somebody pretending to believe just so that they can get a good afterlife versus somebody who truly believes? But then also, like, what if that's the wrong God? There are so many different gods with so many different rules. You can't just pretend to believe in all of them legitimately. And as we came out the exit of the museum, there was a guy at the front desk who was super excited to show us and tell us about this, so we wouldn't leave without noticing it, that somebody discovered real soft tissue from a dinosaur, from a triceratops, and it's in this little tiny jar. And our very intelligent children were like whispering to us, is that real? Do you think that's real? And we're like, no. So it's definitely a scam. So I finished the Nana I was working on, and then I thought it would be fun to do some yarn spinning. And there's Ben. Good boy. I showed off this process to my grandma, and she thought it was pretty cool. She was like, I would never have the patience for that. However, she's a very hardworking woman her entire life. She's run her horse ranch, and I've always admired her work ethic. On this trip, I did not pack a crazy amount of yarn for various projects, so I went ahead and got started on another Nana. So this is like working like a couple weeks worth of Nanas in advance. That way, when I get back home, I'll have more time for doing custom orders and stuff. And I won't have to worry about Nanas for a couple weeks. So I thought I'd show you some real-time crocheting working on this leg. This is that same yarn, the last of that ball of yarn that I showed off in one of my recent videos, the last one or the previous one, I used this in one of those recent shrugs that I made. It's this gorgeous color changing yarn. Everything you see on this leg from that whitish sock on up, except for that the fuzzy yarn with the frilly bits, all of that is this yarn. So it goes from purple and like reddish and golden and blue, and it gets to green by the end. So, you know, grab your art project or your cup of coffee, and we'll just listen to some music now while we watch the colors layer on. Oh yeah, and I haven't mentioned yet that this whole house was built by my grandpa, who I mentioned earlier, who is a carpenter. I'm not showing off a whole bunch of the house or anything, but you can see the staircase behind me. It's got multiple staircases, multiple floors, rooms, and it's up high on a hill with a very steep driveway going up to it. So I think their logic when they built this house, my grandparents' logic when they built this house, was if they have this steep driveway of a hill to walk up and down every day to get down to the ranch, that'll keep them young. And look how beautiful this lake is. I ended up with just a strand of yarn long enough that I could use to tie up a package with in the future. And this is the last of that yarn. I'll probably never have that exact same yarn again, so it's a little sad. But it also makes this Nana feel special. I went ahead and also recorded making the foot part of the next leg. I'm using a double strand here because this yarn is really skinny. So yeah, I'll speed this one up as well, probably even more so. Our first full day in San Diego was our biggest day out. And then that next morning when I woke up, I had a sore spot in my muscle, like a pulled muscle in my left shoulder blade. And it was pretty excruciating depending on which way I moved. And so the rest of this trip, and still now to this day, this is now the 5th day that I'm dealing with it. Yeah, I'm having to be really careful. So these video clips that I took, it took a lot of determination to make it through recording those couple video clips sitting up straight for that whole chunk of time and not stopping to like rest forward on the table. For our last full day in San Diego, my partner thought it would be fun to, before going to dinner, we would stop by this market that he remembered going to as a kid. It's a big Asian food market, and they have a lot of live seafood. So it's kind of like a market combined with an aquarium, at least from our kids' point of view. They're not used to seeing that at our grocery stores. And before leaving, my partner picked out a couple of different treats to try with the kids. Now, I'm still doing my zero sugar thing, so I didn't try them, but we explained to them about durian. They've never tried it. My partner had tried it before. I've never tried it, but he found these durian custard pies. We took them to the bay with us for our evening mission of finding the SeaWorld fireworks. And it was great. He opened the box. They each got a package. They all initially smelled them, and you could smell the bit of funkiness that durian is. And they each tried them. They didn't all eat all of them, but my son ate all of his. He's still not sure if he cared for it or not. But I think they all basically decided they wouldn't necessarily eat it again. One of them, my daughter had eaten like a bite out of hers, and there was still like half of it left. And my partner was considering eating it, but then we had this stray dog come up to us. They didn't have his people with him, and he looked really well kept, and he seemed really friendly. And so we were saying hi to him. My partner reached down and offered him the durian custard pie, and the dog immediately grabbed it with its mouth, but then immediately spit it down on the ground. Gave it another sniff and was like, nope. By the way, we ended up checking for tags, and it had a phone number, and we got Arrow back to his owner. In looking for things to add to this video, I thought I'd share our soundtrack for the trip. So here's the stack of CDs that I had in the car, and we listened through all of these at least once, some of them twice. So we've got Olaf Arnolds, we've got Aurora, we've got Rufus Wainwright, we've got Punch Brothers. Oh, and this group, that's Lisa Lynn on harp, and Arie Frankfurter on Nyckelharpa. I know those people. I learned some Swedish music from them. Matilda, my daughter, has played her harp before. We've got another Aurora here. This is her first album. By the way, my kids absolutely love Aurora. We have like a family fan club going on for Aurora. We've got Sugar Cubes, because I've been a long time fan of Bjork. We've got Lisa Hannigan. I'm a huge fan more recently of her, discovered her more recently. Got another Punch Brothers and a Tom York. I don't recommend that Tom York. It's for the car. It's a little bit moody, a little bit atmospheric. Can't really hear it well in the car. And better late than never, I got my Nana Anne, named after Anne Frank, photographed. I got home, picked her up, repacked, and came back down to my partner's for a few days here. And so I photographed this at my partner's house. And I thought, yeah, Anne Frank, perfect person to name a Nana after. Nanas Against Trump and Fascism, donations being made from the proceeds of those to the ACLU. This is Marie. I thought I'd show her before showing you what I'm working on. I decided to use up the rest of this ball of yarn to make hearts for my packages when I ship things. There are some yarns in the ready for making a fish. So this is how many hearts I could make with the rest of that ball. And yes, I said fish. I got an order for one of my easy pet fish. So here are some progress photos. The fish is finished. I'll have to wait a few days until I'm back home to attach it to the inside of a jar the way I do. And I'll show you what they're supposed to look like here. Alright, well, I'm going to leave this video here for now. I have now finished this fish. When I get back home in a few days, he'll get his own little jar before I ship him. So, yeah, thanks for watching. Crochet hooks and colors bright, crafting wonders day and night. Join the fun, come see it through. Subscribe, and I'll create for you.